I've never found a shiny in a mainline game. My life is terrible. Yeah, it is. I think it's because my mom didn't love me, but... Oh, thank God, it's 3:15. I don't have to deal with this. I mean, don't worry, she's dead. I don't have to deal with her anymore. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. Hello, everybody, and what? Oh, no. Oh, no, don't do this to me. This isn't... Yeah, from hell. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Why Gen 5 Isn't Pokemon, or Gen 1, a critique on the creatures introduced in the 5th generation Pokemon games. I'm 5th Gen, not PKM. Specifically, I'm Max. I have other members of our group, but I'm not identifying them in case you become a rabid mob. I would like to spare their life, except Thomas here. Thomas, if you could stand up and draw attention to yourself. So if you get mad at me, just attack him. He's our intern.
So great.
Yeah. How long have you been an intern now? 2 years?
3.
3? No, you weren't.
Oh, no.
Don't lie. I know your resume. Anyway, we're going to make Pokemon great again. But before we do that, I have to test you on your knowledge of Pokemon, because I want to make sure that I'm talking to people who actually know about Pokemon. So I'm going to show you an image. And if you believe it's a Pokemon, I would like you to raise your hand. Please only raise your hand. Do not raise both hands. Do not raise your feet. Do not come up with some weird third alternative. Just raise your hand. It's not hard. Is this a Pokemon? This is promising. This is Machamp. Machamp is in fact a Pokemon. Good job, everybody. Let's see if you can keep it up. Is this a Pokemon?
What do you think the panel is called?
Actually, I hate this chair. Its back is broken. That is Girder Thing. It is not a Pokemon. It is a war crime. Get it together. Next, is this a Pokemon? I mean, here's my problem. I don't remember this being in the presentation, so I'm a little concerned. And okay, it's a Pokemon, but oh no, oh no, oh no. My friend just put it on there. He said he wanted like 128 copies of the 6th file on my computer. I don't know why I didn't just copy and paste it. We have technology now, but you know. We could do that. Or we could just ask you if this is a Pokemon. Raise your hand if it's a Pokemon. Keep it. Good job, Andrew. This is in fact Shrimpstone 4. It is a Gen 11 leak. I know what you're saying. Max, you keep teasing this as if it's going to be a Pokemon that'll release any day, and it will. I promise you that. This is definitely not a fighting Foodon. Next up, is this a Pokemon?
No.
Okay, what is it? You're saying yes, so what is it? It is Rotom, but it's like the Rotoms that came out after Gen 4, so it's not Pokemon. Like there's Rotom, and then there's appliances that are haunted, and those aren't Pokemon. Next up, is this a Pokemon? No, it's not your dad. It's Emboar, which is not a Pokemon. No, it's Emboar. You weren't here for that discussion, because we had it in the Joey panel upstairs. There's a canon to this, a lore, if you will. If you miss one of my panels, you might as well just, you know, go to another con or something. It is not Endeavor. To my knowledge, like, I will say a lot of bad things about Emboar. I don't think Emboar committed spousal abuse. So there's a problem here because a lot of you seem to not know much about Pokemon. So we're gonna have to talk about research here, because I had to put in a lot of research. And looking into Gen 5, It's hard. You have to don your OSHA-specific safety goggles and helmet, which I left at home. So unfortunately, I am going to get bonked by the OSHA bat and go to OSHA jail. But that's just how it is. Because Gen 5, it's dangerous. This here is the Danger Diamond. You've probably seen it on those nice trucks that drive around town and definitely shouldn't blow up. And each of these indicates a bad thing about that truck. You're nodding like, I'm so excited. He put the Danger Diamond in a slide. That's what this is. This whole thing's for you. First is red, that's flammability. So like, how bad the flame wars will be over this generation. And for Gen 5, it's a 5. And I need to know, with Danger Diamonds, they only go up to 4. So this is lethal flammability. This is like Pacific Gas and Electric. I see a lot of you don't know that joke. Unfortunately, this panel is in Californian, and I did not localize it to Seattle. Next up is blue, that is toxicity, so like how bad the community is. And again, it's really up there. Gen 5 supporters bullied the Tepig propaganda account off of Twitter, which, I mean, hats off to them. One out, but oh, why are you turning on your own? Next up, yellow. Yellow is explosiveness, and unlike flammability and toxicity, we actually want that number as high as possible because it's how many new explosion variants were introduced in the game, and this is a 0. You gotta get those numbers up. And then white is for externalities, like is it reactive to water? How's it deal with air? Is it likely to start the 10th Crusade for Constantinople? And I mean, Gen 5 supporters, they're ready. They're itching to reclaim the Holy Land, and I can't have it. So obviously, when you're researching Gen 5, you can ask yourself, can I just not do this? And I hate myself, so I'm going to. Could I don't know, maybe just take my nostalgia goggles off and embrace it as its own standalone thing? No, that's for cowards. I would never do that. But I did find a safe way to look it up, and that was using Bulbapedia, because Bulbapedia never calls them Pokemon. Wait, no, sorry, that's Smogon. I didn't practice this ahead of time, I'm sorry. So the value here is you can use a word replacer on Bulbapedia and replace the word Pokemon with something else, like abomination. Trubbish it's an abomination, that's pretty nice. I can read this now. Or, Kling Clang the dumpster fire. I know you're saying, Max, why didn't you just name the garbage a dumpster fire? And that's because I didn't think of that at the moment. And I made more slides. And now this next one, and yes, you are right. From Bulbapedia, the community-driven dumpster fire encyclopedia. Thank you for pointing that out. I feel like you could give this panel for me. And this next one, this is dangerous. So I know that this is a 13 and up panel, but just, gratuitous image warning. We do have a brony on here. So hand check real quick. If you failed the hand check, there are some nice men outside in suits who would like your name, address, internet browsing history, and they will take you to a nice farm upstate. So now that we've researched it, I love a good glue factory. St. Elmer's, that's my favorite hospital. So now that we've researched Gen 5, I think it's safe to start talking about it. And we're going to start by talking about combat, because that's what the core concept of Pokemon is, fighting. So let's go over what each generation of the game has introduced to the Pokemon formula. And Gen 1, they absolutely nailed it. Before Gen 1 came out, combat as a concept didn't exist. No one disagreed over anything. If I wanted to go get lunch with my friend Andrew, and Andrew went, hey Max, let's get hot dogs, I'd say, yes, I don't eat pork, but I'd do it anyway because I don't want to disagree with him. And then Gen 1 came out and go, you can fight over stuff. And suddenly we invaded Iraq for its oil. just a 180 right there, like, let's go. And it's like the colors, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, they're so synonymous that even when you come to like modern day wrestling matches, they're still advertised between those colors. Elmo and Cookie Monster wasn't even the title fight of that match, but they just went, no, red and blue. That's how people know this is a war. And Gen 1 could have declared mission accomplished with their perfect formula, but they didn't, because Game Freak built on itself, and out came Gen 2, the brood war to Gen 1 StarCraft. A reference my friend Clayton assured me someone would understand. Yeah, but you like don't like me already, so I don't want your points. Yeah, thank you. As we're supposed to not say that word, I'm trying really hard. So if you could just also not say it in solidarity. Thank you. Gen 2 introduced so many new mechanics like weather, entry hazards, and held items to really jazz up how fights occurred. It also gave us the special split, which was devastating for Gyarados, but pretty good all around because now Alakazam wasn't just absolutely busted. In addition to that, they introduced 2 new types in Dark and Steel to add variety to the already existing Pokemon slot. And definitely not to just nerf Psychic type because it was broken. Gen 3 came out and, you know, Pokemon, everyone was told, oh, Pokemon, those games are for babies. And Gen 3 is like, no. Pokemon is for people who like staring at spreadsheets all day. Suddenly, we got natures, abilities, and EVs. And suddenly, that cool Rattata you caught, I don't think it counts unless you've spent 50 hours breeding the maximum EVs out of it and getting the proper nature and ability and just, you know, spending all night fighting Ghastly in that tower. Why did I special attack Eevee a Tentacruel? IV train? Like, what was wrong with me? But anyway, yeah, suddenly Pokemon's an OCD simulator. But that's nice, I guess. They did something. Gen 4 comes out, and we got 2 big things. First of all, the physical special split. No longer is Leaf Blade a special type attack. It's now physical. Previously, all grass-type moves were special, and now they could be either. And that's true with everything. And that did a lot to really reinvigorate certain Pokemon that weren't used in the meta. But there was something that, according to Smogon, is actually as impactful on the meta as the physical special split introduced by Gen 4, which is Stealth Rocks. There are so many Pokemon entries on Smogon that are like, this Pokemon would be really good if it wasn't weak to Stealth Rocks. So Gen 4 just came out and absolutely ruined the meta for so many things with the introduction of 1 entry hazard, but, you know, made up for it a little bit with the physical special split. So that's what Gen 4 brought us. And now we have Gen 5. And now we have Gen 6, which lets you warp Digivolve with the Mega Forms, which, you know, is pretty cool, I guess. It let them go back and try to, like, make Beedrill viable, which I enjoyed. Then we had Gen 7, which introduced Smash Balls. Pikachu and Jigglypuff wanted to share it with the world, and now we have weird interpretive dances, and I guess that's what Pokemon's about. Gen 8 let Pokemon get big. I think my favorite part of getting big was the fact that the music switched to vuvuzelas. And I don't know about you, but I have several noise citations from my community college for playing too many vuvuzelas. So I can identify with this. Then Gen 9 gives us probably the best of these weird gimmicks, which is hats. I love hats. I don't know what type this hat makes me, but like, or, I mean, I don't want to know what type hat this makes whoever wears it.
It's flying type. Look at the feathers.
I was going to say it's poison type. But yeah, we can go with that. We can go with flying. So overall, as you can see, a lot of generations brought us a lot of things, and Gen 5 was there. Next, we have power creep. So there's always going to be power creep in games. When a new set of Magic cards comes out, it's going to outclass some older cards. But there's a level of acceptable power creep where the average level of the new things has to be good enough to justify using them. And then there's like this, where you have the same base stat total between Machamp and Girder Thing. But they just took all of the stats that Machamp didn't need, like special attack and speed, and just bumped it into other stats. They just went, yeah, well, you know, no one's running like Choice Specs Focus Blast Machamp anyway, so let's just lower that number. And Machamp's speed is already like a golf cart with 3 flat tires, so let's just shove a nail in that 4th. And we're going to use that and let him hit harder. And I think that's weird, because in the Prima Strategy Guide for Pokemon Red Blue, it says that Dragonite has the highest base physical attack stat of 134. That's 140. This thing's stronger than a dragon. That's messed up. And then we have all of these things where they just tried to like optimize the stats that were given, so it didn't look like they were power creeping too much by increasing base stat total, and instead just, you know, making things that were broken in new and exciting ways. Like this moth, which seems to be their justification for Stealth Rock. Gen 5 came out, they could have fixed Stealth Rock, but no, they went, hey, we're gonna make something so broken that you need Stealth Rocks to check it. And that's ignoring its weird, like, special attack raising move that they definitely never brought back. And then we have what looks like if a Sand Slash mated with like a tire spike. You know, like those entry spikes. And here's the thing, I don't think something with an attack stat of 135 should be killable by my Subaru. Like, that's just weird. Like, this is gonna lose in a fight to, I don't even know what, whatever. That's gonna lose in a fight to an Outback, and I'm not here for it. Worse yet, its speed stat is 88, which is the Nazi number. Next we have the Darmanitana Bobana Fi Fofana, which has a pretty acceptable base stat total because they just went, oh, we're gonna make any stat it doesn't need 0, and any stat it does need really high because this thing, again, is stronger than Dragonite, really fast and just has no special attack, but like, who needs it when your base attack stat's 40? And I know you're saying, Max, you're just cherry picking here. I did the research. I know, right? I had a spreadsheet on the train up here and no internet. So all I did was play with spreadsheets all day. So if you look at the, oh man, I don't think this has animation, whatever. So if you look at the average base stat total by generation, you notice gens 1, 2, and 3 are pretty low. Oh, this is also, yeah, including only fully evolved forms. So gen 1, 2, and 3 are pretty low. 4 is pretty high, but that's because they introduced a lot of evolutions for like 1, 2, 3 Pokemon. Then 5's pretty high, but it's lower because it actually has less legendaries than the later generations. And then if you look at the standard deviation, was that the standard? I'm sorry, I don't remember anything. I'm just gonna move on. I think that's standard deviation. Attacking difference between attack stats is also pretty high. If you notice, Gen 5 explicitly has a huge variance between the attack and special attack of any one Pokemon compared to the other earlier generations up until 7, which is 35% legendaries. It is. I know this is really exciting, right? We should just talk about the competitive meta. Now, I could not find data on Smogon identifying the number of Pokemon in each generation that are in OU tier. So I just, I guessed, and I think it looks something like this. Where they're all in Gen 5 and none of them are not in Gen 5, and I think we can agree that this is scientific. And the reason for this is because of speed creep, especially. If you notice, there are a lot of things up here with 101 speed and a lot with 100. And that's because Gen 5 went, oh, well, we could just make a Pokemon slightly better by increasing its speed stat by 1, because that is a winner-take-all stat, something that never happened in Generation 1. In fact, Gen 5 is a pretty big offender of that. I mean, so is Gen 6, but there's this like thought between the early gens where like, we're not going to do that, and then they did it all the time. So these are all percentage of Pokemon that do not end in a 0 or a 5. Next up, Dragon-dominated metagame before Gen 5, there weren't a lot of Dragon types. The ones we had were pretty good, and that was the point. We'll have very few of this one type, but they'll still be pretty strong. So even though Dragons were a low percentage of the Pokemon, they were still equally represented in the meta. And then 5 comes out, and it's at 14%, and they had to introduce Fairy type to counteract it. Don't worry, we'll get to the shit posting soon. I wanted to try to make data. I'm sorry, I'm not. Aesthetics. Okay, so here we have 2 great Gen 1 designs and 2 terrible Gen 5 recreations. Hitmonchan, of course, based off of noted Japanese martial artist Jackie Chan on his mini adventures. And Hitmonlee, based off of noted Japanese martial artist Bruce Lee, seen here beating up noted internet phenomenon Chuck Norris. So Gen 5 comes out, and what do they do? What do they give us? They give us something based off of something you pull off your foot. It's gross, it smells, it's probably crusty. Why would you make that something that someone would want? And then something based off of a man throwing a tantrum. And I don't know why you thought these were good design ideas. You just went, well, let's just take physical threats and make them sad. And then we have these other OC Do Not Steals that came out. We have Tentacruel and then Tentacruel with an inflation kink. Golbat and Golbat after someone told him he loved him. And, wait. I don't know which one's which, I'm going to be honest.
I think the bottom one was Gen 1.
Nice try. And that has nothing to do with the worst designs. Here. Ooh, yeah, I know. That thing, you can smell it from here. That garbage can, first of all, ripped open. Worst thing to deal with, ripped open garbage bag. Its arm is clearly a gas station pump, so you know it's a Republican. And honestly, looking at it, it makes me want to do nothing more than take up smoking so I can put a cigarette out on it, but you know those become its fingers and make it more powerful. And then they gave it pigtails.
Oh God, no.
It's a cat? No, this panel isn't V. No. This is.
She's so real for that.
Next we have a lack of understanding of how mechanics work. So this is supposed to be a series of gears. Jeez, why does this stop working? This is supposed to be a series of gears. The thing is, the gear with the out eye rotates the center gear, which rotates the big gear, but then there's no teeth connecting the big gear to the peach gear underneath. So how does it move? This is teaching children incorrect science, and we can't have that. This is only legally science in Florida. Next, we have the ice cream cone, and I know that you all think I'm a nostalgia tripping hack, but I think we can all agree, remove the rose-tinted glasses, N64 controllers, and all that. So they decided to model something after the N64 controller. Point one. Point two, that's not how you scoop ice cream. I don't know about you, but what I do is I have the thing and I scoop and then I scoop again. I don't scoop, hold it sideways, hope physics stops working for a few minutes to put the next one on top. I don't know what Japan's smoking, but I guess it's whatever that thing is, because it's clearly vaping. Nintendo's brought to you by Big E-Cig, apparently. And then we have this. Yeah, which until Jackson v. Dobbs was only legally a Pokemon in the state of Oklahoma. And unfortunately, since Jackson v. Dobbs, it has caused Game Freak to have to go through some of their other games and update them. For example, in Pokemon Stadium 2, the egg emergency minigame had to have been recreated. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to catch all those coat hangers. It's the Texas Special. This is in comparison to absolute peak designs from Gen 1. Here we have Electrode, and I know what you're saying, Max, it's a Pokeball that's upside down. It's Electrode. It's not a Pokemon that's upside down. Common mistake you've probably made in the games. Yeah, because Electrode is a mimic. A very common creature from any RPG you've ever played, or I don't know, that hack anime everyone seems to like, Freewind. She's pretty into mimics, and you like that show, so you probably, I'm kidding, Freewind's great. But if she's gonna fall for a mimic, of course you're going to. Let's just let a mimic Pokemon lie and don't approach it. Don't take the free candy from the van, it's gonna explode you. Next is Mr. Mime, who I can't actually talk about right now due to several NDAs and pending lawsuits. Everything's alleged for now. And then we have Muck, which I know, Max, you just ripped on a Pokemon that was a bag of garbage. And you are now defending a ball of sludge. And here's the thing, mimics are very staple monsters in RPGs, sludge monsters are very common as well throughout mythology and games and movies, like the Blob, or the gelatinous cubes in D&D. This is just that, but a Pokemon. I don't know why you're upset about that. That is just a garbage bag. There is inspiration here. Speaking of inspiration, let's see where there isn't any. Let's talk about rivals. Man, look at these slides I made on the train. Isn't that great? So first we have Gary. And Gary's pretty cool. I mean, he bullies you unjustly, but you murders Raticate, so I think it evens out a bit towards the end. He has a cool cape, and he ends up succeeding Giovanni in the games because Red is too busy having a depressive episode up in the mountains. So honestly, it's a pretty good 2-game arc for this guy. Next we have Silver, and I mean, he's just a jerk and likes using Pokemon as an implement of war. The thing is, you know, he's at least honest about it, unlike some other trainers you may know. And why does Nintendo keep subtweeting people in their games? First we have Hoenn, which is just them going, we actually don't like environmentalists. And now we have Gen 5, which is them going, yeah, PETA sucks. Which, I mean, not a hot take, but why'd you have to make PETA the villain of your game? I mean, he's at least openly hypocritical, unlike PETA, so that's cool, I guess. But what's weird, though, is he wants to take you on a ride on the big wheel.
Oh, no.
And, like, he's 20, and you're 10. And I don't know about you, but I think that's kind of sketchy. I mean, all this guy did was tell you you smell bad. This guy borrowed a Pokemon from a guy because he doesn't have money to buy his own. This guy's bringing 10-year-olds into Ferris wheels. Alone. Without an adult. He is the adult. Badges. So as you can see here, Gary's got his totally legit badges that I definitely didn't sell him on Etsy. He's got the weighted companion cube badge from when he defeated Gladys, the quill badge from when he won a Beyblade competition against Alexander Hancock, or John Hancock, and the Liberty Bell badge from when he went to Taco Bell and ate 3 Crunchwrap Supremes without breaking the toilet. Yeah, it's a hard badge to get. That's why there's no episode about it in Pokemon. And the Gen 1 badges are just peak design. Here we have the Bulger badge, which is a Bulger, the Water badge, which is a water, and the Earth badge, which is an Earth. They're perfect. This is in comparison to the Gen 5 badges. Here we have the cock for Vitality, the dog that lets you use Recover outside. Actually, wait a minute. Andrew, did you do something to my slides?
Maybe.
Maybe? Yeah, because these actually look pretty goated. I think this is Jackie Chan Adventures Talismans, aren't they? Yeah, okay, cool. So here we have the Millennium Ankh for the Millennium Pyramid for grain storage, the Millennium Ankh for Ankh storage, and the Millennium Falcon for Falcon storage. Andrew.
Yes?
What are you... That didn't work. Why? These aren't these are like the Millennium puzzle pieces.
I like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Are these the Gen 5 badges? How many more times can I make this bet work? That's the real question. Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. With our powers combined, we are Embor. What a disappointment. Oh, look, another disappointment. So this is my dad's toothpick collection. That work. That lightning one's from when he told me he was a turf. That broken one is from when he, finished the meal and needed to do something. And, oh God, these aren't the Gen 5 badges, Andrew. They are. No, I'm pretty sure that's the badge for being a turf. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty problematic. There shouldn't be anything more problematic than that, though, right? In Gen 5, right? Wrong. Ooh, white guy. So I'm not gonna engage in revisionism. Pokemon's always kind of had a problem here. They did have to recolor Jinx. And they claim that it's based on a fashion trend in the 90s. But if it were really based on a fashion trend in the 90s, you wouldn't have to recolor it. And it wouldn't be, like how every black person is drawn in Japanese media. Because their whole idea of what black people look like is from minstrel shows. And you'd think they'd get better, but no, Gen 3 came out and we got Ludicolo. And there's someone on the internet who's very insistent that that is just a pineapple kappa. And sure. Why is it wearing a sombrero? And why is its name Ludicolo? And why that evolves from lumbre? And why is it only one of 3 evolutionary lines in Gen 3 that learns thief? That's some commentary. Yeah, that too. There are a lot of problems with Ludicolo. In all of its interpretations in like real world Pokemon logistics, it's working at like a tequila bar as a waiter. Like just... I know you're thinking, yeah, punch and run. Its attack is mug. And I know you're thinking, that's pretty bad. Gen 5 couldn't top that, right? No, it could. This is Lilligant. I know I'm using the bad word names. And oh, isn't she nice on her with her big hoop skirt and her floral hat in her native plantation home? This is the white version exclusive Pokemon. Do you remember the black version exclusive Pokemon? Right? I rest my case. I'm not the only one who thinks this isn't Pokemon. Sakurai agrees. If you look in Super Smash Brothers, note this came out like before Gen 8, so I don't think Gen 8 is Pokemon either, but you know, don't let this judge that. We have Pikachu, Gen 1, Jigglypuff, Gen 1, Pichu, Gen 2, Mewtwo, Gen 1, Lucario, 4, Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard, all 1, Incineroar, 7, Greninja, 6. There are 2 generations missing there. Oh, that's not in there. 1 is Gen 3, which is fine because they probably wanted to put Groudon in, but that would just start a drought, and we don't want that right now. And Gen 5 is missing for some reason. Therefore, Pokemon Black White is not Pokemon. Checkmate atheists. But it's not that simple because they still brought this upon the world. So now we have to figure out what the consequences of Nintendo's actions are. And honestly, they're pretty damning. These are the US pedestrian death rates over the last 30 years in America, and this is when Pokemon Black White released. I need to be very clear, that is not a joke, that is when Pokemon Black White released. Now I know some of you are saying, Max, there's no way Pokemon Black White caused this. It has something to do with the fact that SUVs and trucks are like way too big. No. That's what the urbanists want you to think. Game Freak has been hiring people to drive around in these Ford F-150s, taking out the brave souls who dare say Gen 5 is sacrilege. The fact that I am still here telling you that is testament to that fact because I've been hit by so many cars. Next consequence, alternative forms. Now, I was really upset that we haven't gotten some of my favorite Alolands, like Alolan Typhlosion, Negative Ferret, and Millennium Xatu. Those would have been great. Instead, we get Iron Moth. And this is going to be dangerous because Mew, like Gen 1, we had 151 Pokemon. Gen 5 came out and we got 155 imaginary Pokemon. So, when you take something to its first number, I to 0, it's 1. I to this first is I. But when you make like a Galar form or something, you're squaring it. And I squared is -1. Which means precious Pokemon like Klefki, when Iron Moth comes out, they get erased. Because this is a negative entry in the dex. There aren't like 1,004 Pokemon or whatever. There's like 979 or something because they've been deleting them. It's evil. So with that, I have some demands for the upcoming Pokemon games. They got to get it right in Gen 10. Demand 1, do not re-release Pokemon Black White. I don't want it coming out. Fortunately, it seems as though Nintendo's heard me out as we're skipping straight to Gen 6. Demand 2, we've got 3 of the 4 greatest martial artists of all time in Pokemon. We've got Jackie Chan, we've got Bruce Lee, we've got a Beyblade, and Hitmontop. For the love of God, bring us Shrimp Stompora. It's based off of Red Lobster, just do it, just give it to us. Demand 3, bring back the Gen 1 miss. I don't know, I think that speed should determine crits, and I think Pokemon should miss sometimes. 100% accuracy moves are boring. Spice it up. Demand 4. Now, with Pokemon Gen 9 came out, they're like, hey, you can do a lot of customization of your clothing. And it turns out that you could just base your clothing off of the 4 seasons. Wait, the 4 seasons? There we go. And that was it. You couldn't even dress up as Team Rocket, and I think that's kind of goofed. I would love to dress up as Team Rocket. In fact, I would love to join Team Rocket. Release a Team Rocket edition. This man asked me if I wanted to join, and I wasn't allowed to say yes. It'd be so great. It'd be Jesse and James and Meowth and me, and we'd go around doing various property crimes to keep housing affordable. They're the heroes of this story. Imagine how unaffordable Kanto would be if Team Rocket weren't there. Do we have any grunts in the house? Thank you for your service. Demand 6, for the love of God, give us more explosions. Just so many explosions. Sure, they gave us Glitter Bomb, but it's not enough. We need more. Poison could get like, I don't know, Toxic 3, I forgot what I called it. Ice could get Shatter, it could be a physical move that freezes whoever it hits. Fire could just take Explosion, that'd be fine. And Electric could get Pacific Gas and Electric. I'm just happy like 3 people know that joke. Yeah, thank you. Why did we come to Washington? What's wrong with us? Demand 7. We all wanted that cat's feet to stay taped to the ground. And not only did they fail to keep its feet taped to the ground, they made it hot. Going forward, please stop releasing starter Pokemon that are physically attractive and give us something that keeps all 4 hands on its ground, or at least has its arms on the ground and its feet in the air. That'd be kind of funny. Demand 8, and I think that this is one of the most pertinent, just re-release Guitar Man. This game is like 95% of the reason why I bought a PS2. It took me 2 years to get a copy because my mom didn't let me buy stuff online. You get to have a reggae battle with a robot shark on an asteroid in space. And if that doesn't seem like the coolest game ever, you're a Gen 5 supporter. Next, Demand 9, Nintendo, I would love it if you'd hire me. I already have an extensive career writing about Pokemon, so, just do it. And Demand 10, re-release Jackie Chan Adventures. We got an Avatar reboot. I don't know why you'd waste time on that. No one would watch that show. Jackie Chan Adventures is where it's at. And with that, I think that's the presentation. So I'd like to thank Smogon for not referring to Emboar as a Pokemon. That's really important to me. Olive Garden for having all-you-can-eat soup, salad, and breadsticks for only $5.99 when you're here, your family. And John Rogers, Dwayne Capizzi, and Jeff Klein for creating Jackie Chan Adventures, a truly fine Japanese anime. You can follow us on whatever that leads you to. There are a few things, probably. We have a few more. God, no more panels today. We're safe. Console Wars is tomorrow morning at 9:15. If you want to learn about the history of video game consoles from a guy who scalped them, I'm that guy. Make Anime Great Again is at 11:15. It's all about how anime was good in the 90s and it's trash now. D&D cartoon, a critical fail. I didn't do that, so I'm not going to talk about it. Sorry, Thomas. It's about the D&D cartoon?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds boring. Everything other than that. Sonic, an Unfortunate History about Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's talk about harems, which is about harems were always bad and will continue to be bad in perpetuity. Pokemon Live, a presentation, a discussion of the Pokemon stage musical. In case you were unaware, in 2000 there was a stage musical for Pokemon. I know, right? And then Ash Can't Catch 'Em on Sunday at 2:15, where we talk about how Ash is just the worst Pokemon trainer. Ever. He's so bad. He couldn't get those badges to save his life. And I ended early, so if anyone has any questions, that they can use the microphone. Yeah, everyone has opinions.
So, if you think Electrode is a good Pokemon,
yes.
and
Yeah.
you know your opinion on Fungus and Amoongus.
They already did a Mimic. They didn't need to do another one. We already had a sumo wrestler in Hariyama. Why do we have to get Embor?
Shrek 2 to Shrek 1.
No, it's not. If Amoonguss sung Holding Out for a Hero while riding Mongo to crash the gates, it would be a Pokemon. But it has not done that. It has not earned that. Do not compare that to Shrek 2. That is an insult to Shrek 2.
Are you a part of the Player Haters Committee?
I don't know what that is. It sounds like you made it up.
Chappelle Show?
No.
Player Haters Ball?
No.
Whatever. Gen 5. Best sprite art, best music.
No.
Yes.
I'm a horns man.
Yeah. And you know what? That's valid.
Yeah, Hohen's got it. Oh no, Ohio's back. Okay, not Ohio's back.
Yeah.
Hi, so I came in a little late. And
Okay.
I saw meiosis on the board. I want to say it was meiosis, like that little.
The Renuculus line, yeah.
Renuculus, that's what, I'm sorry, I was using biological terms.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you shit posted on Renuculus. I'd like to know.
Renuculus is only legally a Pokemon because of the Jackson Dotz decision by the Supreme Court.
I don't believe in evolution because it's a singular.
No, that thing's a fetus. And it is not legally a Pokemon until it is fully evolved into a real life form.
But it did fully evolve because it has all of its organelles in it, and there are microorganisms that look exactly.
I have a stats degree, I don't care.
And that's why I just wanted to know because, like all the other ones, I do agree with. But Renuculus.
It's very odd that you draw the line at the single cell, but everything else doesn't count. I just gotta say that.
Well, I'm just saying it's a nice representation of molecular biology, and that's showing evolution, the science.
You know, if you can find someone who's inspired to major in biology because of that Pokemon,
Actually.
I feel like you are retconning a lot of your life right now.
I will be honest, Black and White did get me angry because 3DS just came out, and I was expecting a 3DS Pokemon. So that was me personally, but now I've gone back and enjoyed it because of Haxorus and Samurott. Everybody else, I'm sorry.
No.
That's sexiest Pokemon.
That's your complaint? They're not fuckable enough?
They are fuckable. They are that word enough.
But yes, thank you.
Okay.
Biology.
This is Gen 5 Pokemon, actually.
Huh?
That you were ripping on, the Gen 5 Pokemon. Can you go back?
There are 100 slides. This is going to take a second. This is also like the fewest slides of any of our presentations. These guys?
One
Or-
more. The ones with the awful design. Yeah.
Well, that's any slide.
All right. So, have you considered? We all know that Gen 5 is based on New York, a region that is famously not real. And
I'm intrigued.
strange creatures that they have created based upon New York. You know, you've got landlords.
I mean, I thought that was just the thing the landlords told you to take out.
You've got and every single disillusioned theater kid trying to get on Broadway. I think that having these just twisted, awkward abominations is a truly telling piece of art, just expanding the urban legends of New York and all of the horror stories about it. I think if you're working on Gen 5, you're missing the point that New York is hell.
So New York is the real enemy here. I've never considered that. I'm gonna have to think about that. I like this take. Thank you. From someone from Ohio, where presumably everyone has moved out by now.
Hey man. So I'm gonna need a little more convincing on this fire type starter slander because I'm a bit attached.
This is gonna take a minute. Actually, I don't want to pull it up. They did 3 firefighting starters in a row. They've come up. They ran out of ideas, and yeah, you're like, I don't know if you're like, right. Yeah, they did. I'm convinced that Incineroar is actually firefighting type. You've just never used Psychic Move on it because you read the strategy guide.
You like firefighting? Do you want houses to burn down?
How do you think I lost my mom? I'm kidding. Like, the ashes were already in an urn. I just can't differentiate them from the house anymore. I love that joke. I forgot what we were talking about. The firefighting type. Okay, yeah, no, genuinely, I'm just like, they just took Hariyama, they made it fire type, made it a starter, except now it's edible. Like, I'm not sure.
Edward was my baby.
You can, I mean, at this point it's probably too late, but you know, like, if you adopt something from the shelter, you have a 30-day return policy, no questions asked.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
So I think you just forgot about that and should have taken advantage at the moment. Don't be mad at me that you don't like the dog you brought home.
All right, you probably don't want to go into the mind of the enemy, but why do you think so many people love Gen 5?
It's weird. When Gen 5 came out, everyone kind of hated it because of Dexit. And I think that now that we've had like multiple Dexits, people have gotten over that. And I understand appreciating that they didn't bring anything back and made an entirely new set. The problem is anyone who does that and doesn't look and just go, wow, this is just Pokemon, but this is McDonald's at home. That's the line. I don't get it. Like, how do you look at Pidove and just go, oh man, this is so much cooler than Pidgey, and I can definitely tell them apart.
I'll say this though. I'm going to have to disagree with you saying.
No, you're not.
I'm going to have to disagree with them skipping to Gen 6 for the next Pokemon game because I feel like they should make Gen 5 so they can ruin it for people.
That is the hot take. It's, do we let them keep Gen 5 in such a way that people can nostalgia bait into convince themselves even more into thinking it's better than Jesus? Or do we let them do a chibi re-release and everyone get upset?
Exactly.
And I would rather just steal the Masters. We used to have a part of the panel on it, but it only works when there are two of us because I die.
As a Hoenn enthusiast, a cyclist, and a Ford F-150 hater myself,
Okay, good.
I have to ask a question. How can you hate the one generation that gave us reliable and consistent public transit, being the battle subway? How can you deny us that subway, which is a functioning and reliable and cheap public transit system? Also, my actual question, is Ingo or Emmett hotter?
Well, first, I need to go back to that because on our way here, we actually took the train, the light rail. We took so many trains. We were taking the light rail in Sacramento because that's how far I came from. And when I tried to get off the train, two people engaged in a Pokemon battle without Pokemon in front of us.
Did they use Earthquake on the subway?
No, one of them threw a bike at the other. And we just had to sit there and wait until the battle ended so we could get off the train. And if that wasn't the last stop, we would have missed our stop. So I'm just saying, if you're saying the battle subway is like the ultimate form of public transit, I'm not on board. There need to at least be some battle-free cars that people follow the rules on. What was your second question? Because I don't think I'm going to answer it.
Bingo or Emmett? Who's hotter?
No comment.
Howard.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a Gen 5 apologist through and through. However,
Don't say that.
I know. Many people told me not to say it. I know it has a cult. Why didn't you take the opportunity when talking about Gen 5's gimmick to talk about the worst thing, rotation battles?
Because
put it through how bad it is.
Because if I denote rotation battles, then people will be like, oh, Gen 5 added battles, see? It made changes to the game.
Yeah, but it made a bad change.
Yeah, it did, but if I just ignore Gen 3 adding double battles, then I can ignore Gen 5 adding rotation battles, and then Gen 5 does nothing instead of something that's wrong that some people will try to argue proves that Gen 5 tried to twist the formula when it didn't. Oh, what, adding a third ability?
It helped the old Pokemon get better. It helped power creep.
I'm not going to count adding a third ability as like a core mechanical change. That's just adding a third ability, a slot. That's like adding a new move. It doesn't count.
So I have two questions. One, the first one, so if Generation 3 was a commentary on the Bi-Mentalist and Generation 5 about PETA, what is the Team Galactic Team 12?
Clearly Nintendo just doesn't like fast fashion, and that's what Gen 6 is about. And Galactic, I don't know what, I think they just saw Primer and got really confused.
Doomsday cult?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, it's always a doomsday cult. It's just always a doomsday cult. Nintendo was just because everyone now listens to true crime podcasts and they jump into like the cult podcast. Nintendo was just a little ahead of the time on that. I mean, Team Skull's pretty cool because they just hang out. Yeah, they're just there.
And so my final second question is so like between Restroom and SakuraCon, who do you prefer? Truth or ideas?
I believe that Gen 5 is the epitome of anti-truth and lacks any ideas.
Hi there.
Hi.
Also late to the party.
That's okay.
I'd love to ask you this. I want to paint you a picture.
Oh
Can you
no.
imagine
Where's the brush?
you are in a room. Here's the brush.
Okay, good.
You are in a room with these 4 Pokemon. You have to hug one of them. Take your poison.
So the question is, can I tell it how much I hate it while I'm hugging it?
What is the best, worst? If you had to hug, which is the best, the worst option?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat the ice cream cone. I'm gonna hug it with my stomach.
Get it?
Yeah. It'll be hugged by my intestines.
Thank you.
The problem is, I bet that thing is disgusting. It's been out a while.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Okay, tuxedo mask.
Okay, so on a regular basis, I'll be like hanging out with friends and we'll just be talking and I'll say, this is just like in that episode of Jackie Chan Adventures. And then my friends always say, dude, stop talking about a Celebrity Time cartoon from over 20 years ago. How do I get my friends to watch Jackie Chan Adventures?
So they just won't watch it?
They just won't watch it. They don't understand how great it is.
Get better friends!
He's right. Anybody who doesn't appreciate Jackie Chan Adventures isn't worth talking to. But I think that duct tape and, yeah, just a lot of duct tape. You've seen Clockwork Orange, right?
Yeah.
That, but Jackie Chan Adventures. Maybe lie to them a little bit. Whatever they're into, say Jackie Chan Adventures is just like that. It's what people do to me when they try to get me to listen to Taylor Swift. I'll be like, man, I really like folk punk. And like, you know who's real folk punk? Taylor Swift. I'm like, no.
Okay, that's very helpful, thank you.
Okay.
I am surprised out of all the abomination Pokemon that you picked up there, you did not put Luna or Musharna up there. The egg and the fetus Pokemon from Gen 5?
We already have a fetus.
And no, an actual fetus. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I was like, that's the real abomination.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Human reproductive system.
Well, you get to that point, and then there's like a genuine discussion about how abortable it is. This is just a clump of cells.
That was
You can get rid of this.
Okay.
You can plan B this in the morning. Huh? Yeah. Okay, I think. Okay, yes.
Have you ever noticed that the Vanilla Ice Evolution series, being the fact that they look like ice cream cones, that they're a parasite for humans instead of actual creatures?
Like you mean they're just trying to get us to eat them at all times?
Mm-hmm. Why else would they look like that?
Oh, you got worms.
You've just made it an even worse thing. I like this. Oh man, that chick's. I really wish I didn't hug that thing. I've got worms. I think that is my favorite take, so I'm not going to let anyone else ask anything. Also, because I should let the next person set up.